It's a strange thing, isn't it? We spend our lives chasing what's outside: better jobs, more money, nicer things, and yet the secret was never out there. It was always in here. You see, life doesn't pay you for who you are. Life pays you for who you become. You can't demand more from the world until you demand more from yourself. And the most powerful question I ever asked myself was this: what if I am the reason things haven't changed? And when that idea took root, it shook me. Because that meant if I changed, everything else would too. So tonight, let's not talk about luck. Let's not talk about chances. Let's talk about value and how becoming more valuable is the surest way to change your income, your influence, and your entire life. One of the greatest misunderstandings people have is thinking they get paid for time. But you and I both know that's simply not true. If it were, you could stay home, do nothing, and the checks would keep coming in. But that's not how it works. The marketplace doesn't reward time, it rewards value. The more value you bring to the hour, the more you earn from it. Now, that's a powerful realization, because it means your income isn't fixed, it's flexible, and it bends to meet your personal growth. If you become twice as valuable, you can earn twice as much in the same amount of time. That's what changed everything for me. I was working hard, yes, but I wasn't working smart. I wasn't developing the kind of value that the marketplace rewarded. And the marketplace is like reality. It doesn't respond to hopes or wishes or excuses. It responds to value. So the question becomes not how can I get more money, but how can I become more valuable? That's when things began to shift. I started reading instead of watching television. I started learning how to speak better, how to sell better, how to lead. I practiced being more thoughtful in my conversations, more punctual, more precise. Slowly, hour by hour, I began to upgrade the value I was bringing to the table. The ancient Stoic Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The tragedy isn't a short life, it's a life of missed potential. And the greatest way to waste time is to spend it without increasing your value. When I was earning a few dollars an hour, it wasn't because time was short, it was because my value in that time was low. The moment I raised my value, the pay followed naturally. And while economics is often where we first notice change, it's only the beginning. It's easy to count money. It's visible. But there are greater treasures that count more. Your character, your discipline, your generosity, your strength in adversity, your ability to build others up, to forgive, to persist. These don't always show up on a paycheck, but they show up in your legacy. I learned that wealth is not just in what you get, but in who you become. You see, I know what it feels like to have very little. And when I started improving myself, yes, my income changed, but what mattered more was that I became more confident, more respected, more capable. People started looking to me for solutions. Opportunities began chasing me not because of luck, but because of the person I had become. That's the beauty of this idea. Economics is just the outer ring of success. When you grow inwardly, outward change becomes inevitable. I once got a call from a major company that said, "We're expanding globally, and we want you to help lead it." That call added millions to my fortune. But the reason they called wasn't chance. It was the result of years spent becoming the kind of man who could be trusted with big things. And I thought to myself, isn't that interesting they called me? Then I realized, of course they did. Who else would they call? There's a Latin proverb that says, asterisk, fortune favors the prepared mind. Asterisk, life doesn't hand success to the unready. It rewards the ones who've prepared in the shadows, who've worked on their attitude when no one was watching, who've sharpened their skills long before the opportunity arrived. So yes, increase your economic value, but don't stop there. Become rich in patience, abundant in wisdom, overflowing with courage. Build your life like a temple, not just tall, but deep. That's how you... When I first heard the idea that you should work harder on yourself than you do on your job, it stopped me in my tracks. Up until that moment, I was doing what most people do, putting in the hours, showing up on time, getting the job done, and wondering why I wasn't getting ahead. I was a hard worker, no doubt, but I was climbing the ladder that leaned against the wrong wall. You can work yourself to the bone and still feel stuck, because effort alone, without self-improvement, is like pouring water into a cracked pot. The day I made that shift, when I turned my energy inward instead of just outward, was the day everything began to transform. I realized that my income would rarely exceed my personal development. That was the ceiling. So if I wanted to make more, lead more, and be more, I had to become more. That required a different kind of work. Not the kind that leaves you exhausted at the end of the day, but the kind that leaves you enlightened. Self-work is quiet work. It's the books you read when no one's watching. It's refining your speech, sharpening your ideas, improving your habits. It's learning to be patient in the face of chaos, disciplined when the world is distracted. I remember taking a book with me everywhere, reading in waiting rooms, on planes, even at lunch. And slowly, those ideas started to shape me. I wasn't just reacting to life anymore, I was preparing for it. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, character is destiny. And that's true. If you don't like where you're going, don't wish for a new road, build a new character. Asterisk, improve your thinking, and the road ahead will change itself. I spent the early part of my life trying to get the world to change. Now I spend every day trying to improve me, because that's the one investment with infinite return. So yes, work hard, but make sure the hardest work you do is on yourself. You can't get rich by demand, only by becoming more valuable. That's a principle life teaches over and over again, yet so many keep missing it. We think if we shout loud enough, protest long enough, or complain with enough conviction, somehow the system will hand us more. But the truth is, the marketplace doesn't respond to demand, it responds to contribution. The world doesn't pay you because you need more. It pays you because you've earned more. I remember a young man once telling me, I'm just waiting for my raise. I said, son, you've got it backward. Raises aren't something you wait for, they're something you deserve. Waiting is passive. Value creation is active. You want more? Then become more. The paycheck is a mirror, it reflects what you currently bring to the table. And if the number is too small, don't curse the reflection. Change the person standing in front of it. The ancient Roman emperor and philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The same applies here. Stop arguing about what the world should pay you. Instead, focus on becoming the kind of person the world asterisk can't afford not to pay well, asterisk. I've seen it in my own life. In my 20s, I was broke working, yes, but bringing little to the table beyond effort. Then I got serious about development. I built new skills, polished my communication, studied the masters, and took on challenges that forced me to grow. And before long, I wasn't asking for opportunity. It was looking for me. I didn't have to demand riches. They became the natural outcome of the value I had built. You want to be paid more? Start solving bigger problems? Add more wisdom to your words, more strength to your habits, more excellence to your craft? Do that consistently, and before long, you won't have to raise your voice. The marketplace will raise your worth. Because wealth doesn't respond to demand, it responds to value. Start small, but never stay small. That's the beautiful part about life. You don't have to begin at the top. In fact, most don't. I certainly didn't. I started as a farm boy from Idaho with pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, and creditors calling my name. I had 1 year of college under my belt, but not much else. And yet, what I had was enough to get started. And that's all you need, a start. There's no shame in humble beginnings. The shame is in staying there when you have the power to grow. Some people make the mistake of turning their starting point into a permanent residence. They say, well, I'm only making minimum wage. But minimum wage is just that minimum, asterisk. It's not meant to be your lifelong wage. It's meant to be a rung on the ladder, not a place to hang a hammock. I remember someone telling me once, well, shouldn't we raise the starting wage? And I said, the goal shouldn't be to raise the floor. It should be to inspire people to climb the ladder. This isn't a bed we're lying on, it's a ladder we're meant to climb. You start at the bottom not because you're meant to stay there, but because that's where growth begins. The swa, your philosophy shapes your future. It's not your job, not your paycheck, not even your circumstances. It's your philosophy that determines where you end up. That collection of thoughts, beliefs, and values you carry like a lens you wear every day, it colors how you see the world and how you respond to it. If that lens is distorted, so will be your decisions. And if your decisions are off, so goes your life. I used to think life was happening to me, that the winds of chance and the tides of the world were in charge. But the truth I discovered, and what changed everything for me, was that life isn't something you just experience. Life is something you build. And you build it with the raw materials of your philosophy. When I was 25, my philosophy was shallow. I thought, as long as I worked hard, I'd eventually get ahead. But effort without direction is like running east, looking for a sunset. You'll never find it. I had to upgrade my thinking. I had to start questioning the old ideas I'd been carrying around like invisible luggage. I asked myself, is this thought serving me, or is it quietly sabotaging me? The philosopher Plato said, the first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. And the way to conquer yourself is to examine the way you think. I started to replace complaining with responsibility. I traded blame for discipline. I quit asking, why is this happening to me? And began asking, what is this trying to teach me? You see, your philosophy governs how you treat people, how you manage time, how you approach adversity. It tells you whether to spend or save, whether to quit or persist, whether to coast or climb. That's why two people can face the same challenge and end up in entirely different places, because they're operating from two different philosophies. So if you're not happy with your current results, don't chase the results, change the cause. Revisit the thoughts that are shaping your actions. Because in the end, your philosophy is the compass. It quietly steers your entire life, and if you're not careful, it'll take you somewhere you didn't mean to go. Make sure the philosophy you live by is worth living for. So as we bring this message to a close, I want you to remember one simple truth. You don't get what you want, you get what you become. Asterisk, asterisk. The key to a better life, better finances, better relationships, and better opportunities lies not in changing the world, but in changing you. Asterisk. When you increase your value, the world begins to respond differently. Doors open that were once closed. People notice. Opportunities appear. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Asterisk. The best investment you'll ever make is in your own personal development. Not in the stock market, not in real estate, not in gold, in you. Asterisk. Work on your mindset. Refine your character. Sharpen your skills. Strengthen your discipline. Because when you grow, everything around you grows too. So I challenge you tonight, tomorrow morning, and every day after to commit to that process. Read the books. Study the masters. Take the classes. Practice the principles. And above all, stay consistent. If you do, there'll come a day when you'll look back and realize you didn't just earn more, you became more. Now go out there and become the kind of person the world simply can't ignore. Asterisk.